Yeah.
Hello boys and girls, a very good evening and welcome to this live stream brought to you by TalentSprint. I hope all of you are healthy and your preparation for the IBPS PO exam is in full swing. Today is 31st of August, which means we are just 37 days away from the first lot of the IBPS PO preliminary examination, right, which is tentatively scheduled for the 7th of October. So guys, just 37 days left for the D-Day, which is going to be a game changer in your dream to get your career job, right? Now, first things first, the match between India and Sri Lanka today turned out to be, again, on our side, not really very interesting, right? India scored 375 for 5 at the end of 50 overs, and I think Sri Lanka is already down with their first 5 wickets, and yeah, we are in a very strong position. But then I hope you have not followed the match, because this is high time that you focus only and only on your IBPS PO preparation. So guys, if you are telling me that you have been watching this match or following the score, not done, right? Leave all these distractions aside, don't get distracted, and just focus on only one thing, on your dream job that is gonna, you know, come live in like next 5-6 months. But for that you have to prepare really hard now, because as you all must know, IBPS PO preliminary examination is the first and the most important stage in this entire recruitment process, right? So you got to ensure that you give your best possible in this 38 days that you have, so that you can maximize your chances of selection, right? Now, what are we going to discuss today? Nothing much really, right? It is more of a reminder that you should practice on your numerical skills as much as possible. We have been doing this Facebook live stream every day, and we have covered a lot of concepts over the last 7-8 sessions, right? I think yesterday we discussed about averages, a very interesting concept on averages, where we have to find out the average of the group when a person has been excluded in the group, or excluded from the group, or included into the group, right? Likewise, I think the day before we discussed about consecutive numbers, right? Before that it was about compound interest and things like that. So I'm sure all these concepts have added value to your preparation, and you have learned how to solve questions in a smart way. But having learned all the techniques so far, it is also important to ensure that you focus on your numerical skills, because if you ask me, the one reason why most of the students fail to get a good score, a really good score in these competitive exams, especially in the quantitative aptitude section, is not because of it's not due to the lack of shortcuts or techniques that they know, right? It is just because they're not good in calculations. Now, you also know that IBPS has changed the main examination pattern, where you will be tested on data interpretation and analysis. Now, because of data interpretation and analysis, and also your preliminary examination, it becomes very important that you focus on percentages. Yeah. So let us spend the next 5 or 6 minutes discussing about percentages. Like, how can you do percentage based calculations quickly without putting pen on paper? And this, in my view, is one of the most important exercises that you must do on a daily basis, so that you can solve the questions really quick in the exam. Yeah. So let's talk about percentage based calculations, right? How do you deal with percentage related calculations? Well, strictly speaking, percentage is like multiplication, right? When you're doing a percentage related calculation, it's like multiplication. For example, 25% of 400. 25% of 400 is 25 upon 100, or 25 by 100 into 400. So that's like a multiplication, which also has a division involved by 100, but that's very easy to do. So percentage, in my view, is like multiplication. So all these techniques that we have learned for doing quick multiplications can also come handy while you do percentage based calculations, especially things like split and merge, and multiplication of numbers with 5, multiplication of numbers with 25, etc. Okay, so let's start. Let's do a small drill here on percentage calculations. Now, let me ask you a few simple questions. So what do you think is 25% of 600? 25% of 600? It is 150, right? I'm sure all of you have got the answer. 25% of 600 is 150. How about 25% of 40? It's 10. 25% of 40 is 10. 25%, like you all know, is 1/4. 1/4 of the value. So 25% of 40 will be 1/4 of 40, which is equal to 10. 25% of 600 is 1/4 of 600. So 600 by 4 gives you 150, right? Similarly, let's say if I ask you what is 50%. 50% of any value is half of the value, right? So 50% of 860 would be 430. 50% of 270 is going to be 135, right? Half of 270, 135. 50% of 360 is 180, yeah? Then 50% of 900 is 450. So, you get the answer in a jiffy when you have to do like 50% or 25% of a value. Similarly, I think 10% is an easy calculation, right? 10% of any value is 1/10 of the value. 10% of x is like x by 10. 10% of 430 is 43. 10% of 86 is 8.6. 10% of 972 is 97.2, right? So very easy to do. Likewise, 100% is a no-brainer, right? 100% is the value itself. 100% of x is x. 100% of any number is the number itself, right? 100% of 3,784.972 is 3,784.972. As simple as that. Now, the point that I'm trying to make here by all these calculations that you have done in the last couple of minutes is that 100%, 50%, 25%, 10%, or for that matter 1%, these are easy calculations. Now, why do you think are these calculations easy? Because we know these percentages in terms of their equivalent fractions. See, a percentage is nothing but a fraction, right? X% is x upon 100. So it's a fraction where the numerator is x and the denominator is 100. So the point is, when you know a percentage in terms of its fraction, calculation becomes really very easy, right? Why are we able to, or how are we able to get 50% so easily? It is not because we are like really good in calculation. It is because we understand that 50% is half of the value, right? 25% is 1/4 of the value. 10% is 1/10 of the value. 100% is the value itself, right? So when you know a percentage, a particular percentage in terms of its fraction, calculation becomes very easy, right? Now my question to you, what is 62.5% of 800? I'm sure it's not so easy to crack unless you know what is 62.5% in terms of fraction, yeah? Now you'll all start putting pen on paper to get the answer, but smart people would say 500. They'll say 500 is the answer. 62.5% of 800 is 500. How do we say that? 62.5% is 5 by 8. 62.5% of any value is 5/8 of the value. So 62.5% of 800 is as good as 5/8 of 800, and that makes it 800 by 8 is 100 times 500. You understand? So the point is, when you know 62.5% is equal to 5 by 8, life becomes easy, right? Calculation becomes really quick. I mean, it can be done in a jiffy, like I said. But how do you know this? How do you know what percentage is what fraction? Well, not to worry. There is a list of percentages and their equivalent fractions, right? It's standard percentages. I mean, not that we are trying to learn every percentage by heart here, but there are some standard values, right? I think some 20, 30 values, percentages and their equivalent fractions that you have to learn. All these values have been discussed in detail in our video on percentages, so I would request you all to refer to that video to understand these things. Like for example, if I have to ask you what is 81.81% of 1100, I'm sure you'll be like, what? 81.81% of 1100 is not that easy, right? We need paper. But no, 81.81% of any value is 9 by 11th of that value. So if I have to calculate 81.81% of 1100, it's like 9 by 11 into 1100. That makes it 900. Yeah? So it's all about the way you look at the number. You understand? Not just percentages, but any calculation you do, it's important that you change the way you are looking at the number, right? 62.5% of 800 was changed to 5 by 8 of 800. Yeah, 5/8 of 800. So when you change the way you look at the numbers, it becomes easy. Of course, you have to look at it the right way, but that makes it very easy. So point number one here is to learn all these standard percentages and their equivalent fractions, right? Like I'm sure you will know most of these. 33.33% is 1/3 of the value. So we are not going to calculate 33.33% ever, right? We'll say 1/3 of the value in case required. Similarly, 87.5% is 7 by 8 of the value, right? 87.5 equals to 7 by 8. Yeah, 16.66 is 1 by 6, right? Then 51.33. Can you tell me what is 51.33% of 2400? I'm sure it's a hard nut to crack, right? 51.33% of 2400. Answer is 1000. provided you know that 51.33 or 41.33% is 5 by 12th of the value. So you got to learn all these percentages and their equivalent fractions. That's point number one. But like I've already mentioned, we can't be learning all the values by heart. Like if I have to find out 63.5% of something, it's difficult, because 63.5% in terms of fraction will be as complicated as 63.5%. I mean, it's not a easy multiple of a fraction there, right? So how do you do 63.5%, or how do you do 76%, or how do you find out 83%, or how do you calculate 21%, or how do you manage 12% of value? How do you work on these calculations? I mean, that's the point 2, right? And these are the percentages which are very frequently required when you're solving questions on data interpretation, especially when you do pie charts, right? What happens in a pie chart? A total value has been split across 5 or 6 different heads, 5 or 6 different sectors, right? Pies. Now each pie is like 12%, 21%, 16%, 12.5%, 26%, 13%, 9%, and these kind of percentages are given there. Now if you start putting pen on paper for every calculation there while you are solving questions from DI, then you end up wasting a lot of time. So you have to be quick enough to do these calculations mentally. So how do you do these? Again, like I said, since percentage is like multiplication, you can apply most of the multiplication techniques here, right? Now one very useful technique that we have learned in multiplications, right? I mean, I'm sure you have watched our video on split and merge, which is there as a part of the speed maths topic. The technique here is split and merge. I have already mentioned that, right? Split and merge. So what we do here is we try to break the number into 2 parts such that it becomes easier to calculate each of these individual parts, do the individual calculations, and then merge these two to get the required answer. So split and merge. First you split the value and then you merge it. Like for example, calculating to 12% might be difficult, but if you break 12% as 10% and 2%, then it becomes easy. Calculating 19% might be complex, but 19%, if it is changed to 20% minus 1%, then it becomes very easy, because 20% is going to be easy calculation, right? 20% is 1/5 of the value. Again, this comes from the first step. I told you standard percentages in terms of their fractions. 20% is 1/5 of the value. Or it can also be taken as 10% into 2. 20% is 10% into 2. So find out what is 10%, multiply that by 2. So 20% is easy to calculate. 1% is a no-brainer. Take the difference and you get the answer. The same calculation, if it is done with respect to 19%, it would take a lot of time. Yeah. So second point is to use this technique of split and merge. So let's take a few examples. Like let's say we have to find out 12% of 3,600. 2 is 1%. Take the difference. 640 minus 32. 640 minus 32. Yeah, 640 minus 32. What is 640 minus 32? It will be equal to 608. So 19% of 3,200 is going to be 608. As simple as that. Not as quick as this. I mean, you have to be, really quick in getting that answer mentally yourself, but it just works out very easily. Yeah. Let's say I have to find out 63% of a value. 63%. What is 63%? 63% is not 63%. It is 50% plus 10% plus 3%. 50 plus 10 plus 3. Break it into multiple parts. See, the whole idea is to make the calculation simple. It may not be simple by itself. 63% is not easy, but 50% is easy, 10% is easy, and 3% also is easy. So, break it into 2 or 3 parts. Try to make it easy. Try to make it simple, and then do the individual calculations quickly to get the answer. Now, I'm sure 50% would not take any time. It's a 0-second calculation if you ask me. 10% also is not, it's a no-brainer. 3% maybe it'll take a couple of seconds, and then you merge all these values. So overall, in my view, within 5 seconds, you will know what the answer is. The same thing when you try to do on paper. By the time you write 63% of the given value, you end up wasting 2-3 seconds. And then there is a whole lot of drama that needs to be done, cancellations and multiplications and all that stuff. Time killer, right? So do this now. 63% of, let's say some value, 63% of 2,800. Try this. I know I'm taking simpler values because we always have to start from the easier ones, and then you proceed. As you practice every day, you can take more and more complex questions. So the question to you all is 63% of 2,800. How do you do? 1,400 plus 280 plus 84. 50% is 1,400. 10% is 280, 3%. 1% is 28, 3% will be 28 into 3. That's like 60 plus 24, 84. You know, the 60 plus 24 that I did just now should be done mentally. You should not be speaking it out, right? Because it takes time when you say something, right? You do it mentally. 3%. 1% is 28, 3% is 28 into 3. 28 into 3. So 20 into 3, 8 into 3. So 60 and 24. 60 and 24 makes it 84. So what are the values? 1400, 280 and 84. 1400 and 280, 1680. 1680 and 84. 1764 is the answer. Again, it will not take so much of time. I was explaining this to you. I was not doing it myself. When you do it yourself, you'll get it faster, a lot faster. Yeah, that's how it works. Let's say I need 63.5%. Add another half a percent. 63% is already done. Add another half percent. I have forgotten what was 63%, by the way. It was 1764, I guess, right? 14, 1680 and 84. 1764, right? Add half percent more to this. Half percent of what? 28. 1% is 28. Half percent is 14. So 1764 plus 14, 1778. 63.5% of 2800 is 1778. Works out, right? I have to calculate 89.5%. Easy or difficult? Very easy. 89.5% looks to be big, but actually it's very small when you come from the other side, right? Don't go from 0 to 89.5%. Come from 100. 100 minus 10.5%. Yeah, 89.5% is not 89.5%. It is not 80 plus 9.5%. It is not 50 plus 30 plus 9 plus 0.5%. It is 100% minus 10% minus half percent. 89.5 is 100 minus 10.5. So 100 minus 10 minus 0.5. 100 is the number itself. 10 is almost the number itself. 0 seconds both. Half percent. 1% is easy to calculate. Half of that. You're done. So let's say 89.5% of 6,400. Do this. 3,200. Sorry, 100%, right? So 6,400 minus 10%, 640. So 6,400 minus 640. Now you have to do this calculation. How much will this be? 5,760. Yeah? 6,400 minus 640. See, if you are unable to subtract 640, don't worry. Don't subtract 640. Subtract 600 and then subtract 40. So 6,400 minus 600. 5,800 minus 40. 5,800 minus 40. 5,760. 5760. What else has to be subtracted or added? I think it has to be subtracted. What has to be subtracted? Another half percent. Remember, 100% minus 10% minus 0.5%. Yeah? Now what is 0.5%? Half percent. Half a percent of 6,400. 1% is 64. 1% is by 100, right? 6,400 by 100. 1% is 64. If 1% is 64, half percent is 32. That's it. Subtract 32. Subtract 32 from what? 5,760. Yeah? 5,760 is what we already got. Subtract 32 from that. Again, if 32 is difficult, make it simple. How do you make it simple? Break it. 32 is not 32. It's 30 and 2. So 5,760 minus 30 is 5,730. Minus 2 is 5,728. Yeah. So 5,728 is 89.5% of 6,400. Yeah. I think I'll stop here. Understand the technique clearly, right? Split and merge. Number one is to learn those standard percentages in terms of its fractions. Number two is to go by this idea of split and merge. And I'm sure if you spend like a couple of hours practicing this over next 2-3 days, you will become a pro. Yeah, I am hoping that you're already spending time on speed maths every day. So by that, this automatically becomes easy. But if not, do some bit of practice on percentages, because very important. Percentages are useful not only in percentages questions, but profit and loss, simple and compound interest, partnerships and ratio and proportions, allegations and mixtures, and data interpretation, definitely. Yeah. Set theory and whatnot. Yeah. So very, very important topic. And I think in general, I have always told you that you have to be really good in your numerical ability, in your calculation skills, for you to score more in the exam. Yeah. See, if it is about just clearing the cutoff score, then you need not worry about this calculation ability, right? I mean, cutoff score can be cleared. You can score 8, 10, 12 marks easily out of 30, 35 marks. But if you want to make that score to, reach 20, 24, 25, 30, or improve from whatever it is today, then you have to work on your calculations. I mean, this is one tool which will definitely help you boost your scores. Yeah. So I think I'll leave you with this. We have not taken enough questions, but I'm sure the concept is important enough for you to motivate yourselves to practice more on this. Yeah. On that note, let me close it here. I think repeating myself, just 37 days left for your first slot of IBPS PO preliminary examination. You must be trying really very hard, working hard, burning the midnight oil, and leaving nothing for chances. Yeah, remember, this time is not gonna come back. And yes, if you were watching the India versus Sri Lanka match, not done. You're not in the race. Yeah, forget about all these things. Forget about all such distractions. No WhatsApp. No. Okay, I should not be saying no Facebook, because I am also on Facebook now. But yeah, no WhatsApp, and cut down from all that social media and this cricket matches and anything that is not going to help you move closer to your dream job. Yeah. So let me close it here. Thank you once again for joining us. We will meet again through these live sessions, either on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel. You can just keep looking out for this page and the channel there to get the details of the next live stream. And yes, keep practicing and take very good care of yourselves. Bye.